Welcome back. We investors love a good bargain, especially when it doesn't cost us a lot of money. So I recently asked James Dunn to find me 5 stocks under 50 cents, and he's delivered to get the good oil, to use a Melbourne Cup term, and we have it from our Melbourne-based James Dunn. Hey, James.
Peter, how are you?
Very good indeed, mate. What's your tip for the Melbourne Cup?
Well, I would like to see, so this is not really a tip at what I would like to see. So let's say I'm saying we'll see it. Green Moon going back to back. I really would like to see that. But also Faulkner, Fiorente. There's some very good. Well, it's a mug's game picking the winner of the Melbourne Cup, Peter. But let's just say that with I think 6 runners from the Williams camp, they have narrowed it down. That's about as as emphatic as you can be to say that in terms of statistical likelihood and odds, yeah, a Williams horse is about as good a tip as you can get.
Without a doubt. Now, on far more important conveyances, namely stocks, so I asked you to try and find them for our Switzer Super Report, and you duly delivered, mate. So let's run through them quickly and what you like about them.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of stocks under 50 cents. And look, that's a very arbitrary target, as you mentioned when we started to do it. Really, you should look at things like market capitalisation and things like that. But there's some very good stocks out there. Some have yields, some have good stories. But, for example, Gage Roads, the brewer, that everybody would see in the fridge at their local bottle shop. That Gage Roads is a geographical feature off, it's an anchorage off Fremantle, and they floated the company over there in about 2006. And Peter, the really interesting thing there is that Woolworths now commands about 80% of Gage Roads' brewing business. They brew on contract for Woolworths, Sail and Anchor, those kinds of brews. Gage Roads, they brew their own beer. So 4/5 of their volumes going to Woolworths, which is a very good buttress in the business, let's be honest. Some people might say that Woolworths is always trying to drive down the prices it pays suppliers, but if you're a brewer like that, to have 80% of your volume going to Woolworths, and then of course they're doing their own brands, plus they're really starting to strike some good contract brewing deals with San Miguel and McLaren Vale, and they just signed a big deal to brew Weston's premium cider for Weston's from the UK. So really good things, I think, happening over at Gage Roads Brewing in Fremantle.
Okay, number 2.
Well, Adacel Technologies. Now, tech is one of those industries, Peter. You often hear it, don't you, that we don't have technology superstars. But in the software area, Adacel is a ripper of a company. And look, as I wrote in the article, it's one of those stocks you wouldn't know about, but you're very glad that it exists, because what it specialises in is air traffic management software. So most of the airports around the world are using that. They also do things like voice control systems for aviation. So they're putting their systems into the Joint Strike Fighter project. But a very big deal that they have with Lockheed Martin, the Advanced Technologies and Oceanic Procedures System, Peter, ATOP. Now that is involved in the United States, the areas of the globe that the United States is responsible for in terms of air traffic management. They're using Adacel's technology. They've just had an 8-year contract extension signed, Lockheed Martin. So Adacel's talking about something like $75 million worth of extra revenue coming from that contract. So great little Australian technology company operating in a niche that, as I said before, we're all very glad to know that good products are being used in that area.
Most definitely. Better than making cars. Let's go to the 3rd one.
Legend Corporation, Peter, which is an IT circuit and semiconductor maker and engineer. It's very heavily involved in utilities and mining, but housing and construction is 60% of its sales, the circuits that go into lighting in houses, etc. So I think that the turnaround for Legend Corporation is, or the turnaround in housing is going to be very strong for Legend Corporation. It's another quality Australian company, profitable, dividend payer, and I think that's one very much worth watching.
Okay, let's go to the 4th one.
Well, we've got Jet Set Travel World, which everybody looks at some of the other travel stocks on the market, but Jet Set Travel World is of the 5 stocks we're looking at today, Peter, that's probably the one that's worth the most on the market. It's approaching $175 million worth of market value. Jet Set Travel World. The corporate market is struggling for it, but it's just done a tie-up with Orbitz, which is a very big North American travel group. And those brands like Jet Set and Travel World, they'll be folded into the Orbitz, the Jet Set Orbitz joint venture. They're going for scale with a major global partner, and I think that's a pretty good deal that's going to be reflected on the stock market.
Okay, great. And then the final one?
Our final one is Boom Logistics, Peter, which was one of those stocks that really, in that perceptions of a Chinese downturn earlier in the year, which hit our mining services companies very, very hard. Boom Logistics was one of those that was worst hit. The crane supplier really got hammered on the back of that, but it's turned around a bit. It's come back from 7 cents at its low. It's up to about 19 cents now, and it's got some good work at Gorgon and some of the other LNG projects. Solomon's Hub in WA, it's got work there, and it's also branched out. It's got some work in some of the high voltage transmission projects in Queensland and New South Wales. So. Look, while there are still those worries, Peter, about the Chinese economy, the worst is probably over for the mining sector. And Boom Logistics made the point, and investors should remember this, that while coal, of course, is struggling, iron ore and copper and particularly LNG, liquefied natural gas, are not struggling. And that's where Boom Logistics has a lot of its work.
James, you are a legend going for companies like Boom. That's fantastic, mate. Thanks for joining us on the program.
Good luck tomorrow, Peter. And as in our newsletter today, as we mentioned, the only short tips tomorrow are Tats and Tabcorp.
Without a doubt. Thank you, James. If you want to read what James was talking about, have a look at the Switzer Super Report. Now